What's up, everybody? Hey, Tom Laird here, host of the Advice from a Call Center Geek podcast and founder of Expivia. For exceptional contact center outsourcing, trust Expivia. We're fully AI-driven, as all of you know, and can handle voice, email, chat, and all of your digital channels. Our 600-seat USA contact center is expert in healthcare, financial services, insurance, tech support, retail, and more. Experts on the NICE CX1 platform, we ensure seamless customer experiences. DM me or visit expiviausa.com for more. Hi, guys.
Hi, Tom. How are you?
So, again, I know we just kind of talked here, but what we want to do is just have a quick roundtable. Moving here into 2020. I want to get your opinion on some things as we kind of, again, move into the new year, some tweaks and things we want to do for my management trainee program, and just some of the other things that I really find interesting and kind of want your guys' opinion on. So, to start here, let's talk about a new supervisor. What tips would you guys give a new supervisor, someone who's a management trainee, coming up through the ranks, or again, if there's somebody in Peoria, Illinois, who's a supervisor watching this, what tips would you give them to kind of help them?
First thing I always ask them is to find out if they really want to be a supervisor or if they're just doing it to get off the phone. Because what people don't realize is what we do. They think it's easy. You're off the phone, you just walk around, and it's not. They don't realize the work that goes into it, the personalities. You've been working with the new people. Yeah. We just promoted a couple of the team leads, and that's the first thing they said is what you guys do isn't easy because they're helping us do it now. Mm-hmm. So
I think a big thing is for like multitasking, and it's like underrated, like looking at it. You think it's going to be easy. You don't think it's going to be easily manageable. But once you're in that part, it becomes difficult, and you have to have a good mindset, the patience with it when a lot of responsibilities get thrown at you.
Absolutely.
You know, real quick to both your points, like when Mashia came off the phone, because she wanted to get off. I don't know if she really wanted to be a supervisor. She wanted to get off the phone.
She wanted off the phone.
But then she realized you're in charge of 15, 16 people. When you're on the phone, you're just in charge of one.
Yeah.
So that's the big difference.
Mm-hmm. And I think time management, don't you think?
Yes, definitely.
Figuring out how to organize your day. And I think, Stephanie, we talked about that one time, and you found the easiest way to manage your day was?
We have the supervisor checklist, and it just says like hour 1, hour 2, but I actually, or hours 3 through whatever.
Right.
I added the actual time of day to mine, so that I know which parts of my tasks need to be done by what time I should have them done.
And do you think by following that it helps you complete your tasks that are given to you?
Absolutely.
I think so.
Has that checklist helped?
Oh,
A lot.
absolutely. Yes.
A lot.
Yes.
Okay.
I know it helped me. It helps me help my supervisors because I try to look every hour and a half where everyone's at in their checklist, and those who are falling behind, I can reach out to them and see if what's going on that they might need extra help with something.
Right.
So yeah, the checklists I think are a great idea.
I guess with that too, operationally, like, is there anything, like, I love that checklist idea. Like, is there anything that you guys do, I don't know, maybe that somebody else doesn't do, or when you're on your team to kind of, make the day better for you? Is there any, when you're looking at a stat, or is there, I don't know, something operationally that kind of helps? I know that might be a vague question, but.
For me personally, because I don't have, I'm like a utility supervisor wherever I'm needed. I don't have a checklist, but still with the structure, it was really important to me to have that. Even though I don't have a checklist, I know that I had certain things to do at certain time periods.
Right.
And just to piggyback off the same thing with the multitasking, you can lose focus because you have so many things to do. So that's why you really need to have a structure, even if it's a list or just a personal time period where you do certain things. And that's really what helped me, just having time periods where to stay focused at. Yeah.
Instead of trying to jump around to do a little bit of everything helter-skelter.
Yeah.
It gets done this way.
Can you guys talk again about, because I think that another big change is, like, you can't have a bad day, right? Like, we kind of talk about that,
can't
right?
have a bad day.
So we talk about the attitude and the effort thing. I mean, was that a big change for you guys? Not you guys became supervisors. It's not like you guys were horrible. But, like, when you see that, like, is that Do you make yourself aware of that? Like if
Yes.
you are having a rough day, or how does that process work for you
You're gonna be
guys?
a true leader.
You got to fake it until you make it.
Right.
Exactly.
It's like being on stage.
Right.
Leave
Yeah,
everything at home.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think you
Leave everything at
We
home.
used to work in a call center where we had the ramp coming up into the call
Yeah.
center, and one of our old supervisors from the day and I used to stand there and meet and greet everybody as they came in. And if they didn't have a smile, we would say, "Hey, go get a cup of coffee. Put that smile on your face before you come in." It was like the drop-off line. They left all their negativity and whatever behind that line and then stepped in. And you got to feed
And that
it
goes
to
with
them.
what we, with that first 30-minute kind of thing.
Oh, yeah,
Exactly,
absolutely.
yes.
Like that's a
Yes.
really big important.
That touching
important piece of it.
everybody
Yep.
when they first come in the morning is important.
And that's why I do that board too on the front. So as they're walking in, I'll have like a little quote or joke or.
I loved
No.
it today.
Right.
And
That's
I
a
put
great
up like
joke.
the reps that did good the day before, that had raving fans, that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
No, very cool, very cool. All right, switching gears a little bit from kind of what you would talk to a new supervisor. Let's kind of get into, I guess, some of the reps on your team. So if somebody does, a QA comes out and then they have a monitoring form or a monitor that wasn't up to snuff. Now, do you guys have any coaching tips that you like to use? Any techniques that you guys like to use when you have to, pull a rep off the floor and kind of talk to them as you're kind of listening? I know, Carl, you do a lot of that kind of stuff.
I personally I let them to get a feel for the whole situation by letting them listen to themselves first. So that way, so I don't have to give the feedback and then them wonder and then possibly get upset. I like to have them listen to the call and then say, "What do you think? What went wrong or what went right? If it's a good call, we'll focus on a positive." But that way, it really shuts down like the argumentative. They're more receptive in that way. And that's probably my biggest thing is having them hear themselves beforehand, before I even say a word.
Right.
Yeah, especially on a negative call. It's important that they listen to it, they hear for themselves. And a lot of times they'll be like, "Oh my God, that was me." They don't even realize they were maybe caught in a moment. And
Right.
yeah, I agree with that.
And I understand that by just introducing ourselves every morning, you get to know the character of the person.
Right. And what
So
will-
you handle people differently. Some people
Yes.
might not be as receptive, and some people might get kind of upset by giving feedback. So I handle everybody differently just by understanding the way they are. So my approach will sometimes be different. I always let them listen, and then depending on the type of person I'm dealing with, that's how after that I'll say either, "What do you think about that?" or "These are the points," and it really helped me to understand the rep and also what type of feedback they'll be receiving if they're going to be receptive or
You
not.
have to know your reps.
You have to know your
And
reps.
because I always used to tell everybody the best part and the worst part about my job were the people. And it's true till this day because there are so many personalities and you meet a lot of great people, but at the same breath, there's a lot of great people and they all have a different personality. And you can say hi to someone and they're hi, how are you? You can say hi to someone else and they're like, what does she want this time? So you have to know their personalities so you know how to meet and greet them and how to deal with them.
I was going back to what we were talking for tips of new supervisor. I thought you were going to say too. What's your the phrase that you always use with the,
Doers do what checkers check.
Right.
And it's true. If I've already noticed this, not with just with my reps, but my supervisors, the things they know that I'm going to ask about or I'm going to check on all the time are the things they do first. Even if they're maybe second or third on their checklist, they do the things I inquire
Doers
about.
do and check what
Doers do what checkers check.
Yep.
Yeah.
Right.
That came from way back in the day. Way
Yeah,
back
no, I
in
like
the
it.
day. Yeah.
I like it. Stephanie, what about you? I mean, do you have any coaching wise when you're talking to your team?
I found a lot of people, like you said, people get offended easily, things like that. So obviously knowing your rep is really important. Some of them you can joke around with them. Some of them you can't. You got to be
Right.
very straight facts. Like Carl said, if it's somebody that you know has a tendency to be more offensive, I'm more prone to let them listen to their own call first and then say, these are the things that you were supposed to do. Were those done? Kind of
Right.
a deal. And if they can't say they did them, obviously they're not going to be able to argue with you about it.
Right. Well, they may try.
They might try, but
Right.
But listening to it makes all the difference in the world.
And starting out with the positive on the coaching.
Definitely, always start
going
positive.
into the call and then letting them know what they did wrong.
Or ending on
You
a
know,
positive, depending on who it is.
exactly.
Absolutely.
Yes.
I think you have to,
Be consistent.
when you monitor or do a monitoring, you have to have 2 positives for every negative. And I know sometimes that is really hard to do, but there's really, I don't think anybody sitting in a call center who doesn't want to do the job well. They just maybe lack the ability to do it or having a bad day. So by giving them the positives as well as the negatives, and should always be double the positive, because positivity, I can't even say it breeds more, where the negativity breeds more negativity.
And I think again with the attitude and effort deal.
Yeah,
like,
absolutely.
you want to make sure when they're going back out on the floor, they're not
Yep.
ticked at you or ticked at the process.
And boy, guys, praise as a group. Let them all know when someone does great.
I had a shout out before I came over here. A customer told me about the rep
Who
that
was it?
Angela,
Okay, wonderful.
how the rep just didn't call her back immediately, called her back later, gave her time to talk to her son, and she just went on and on and on about how she listened to her and just didn't hound her. And
Listened
the rep was like, but I
effectively.
didn't get the sale. I'm like, that's fine, but you got a raving fan, and I announced it, and everybody gave her a round of applause. Yep.
Nice.
Customer experience.
She
is
was
half
so
the battle.
happy for that.
Right.
call.
Well, that customer now has a good attitude
Yes.
about whatever client you're representing.
Exactly.
Instead of if they felt hounded, then they're not going to think Tom hounded them or Carl hounded them. They're going to think the company hounded them. So every call you represent your client and you want it to be the best foot.
Exactly.
And then, guys, kind of last question. I'm just going to kind of open it up. Anything that you guys, I'm going to kind of maybe throw you on the spot. But again, if there's a supervisor somewhere in that's watching this, is there anything that you kind of would want to say to help, or again, any piece of knowledge that you learned? Like I love like the phrase that you have, or any of that kind of stuff that. And again, I know I'm kind of throwing you guys on the spot here, but anything that you kind of want to end with. Like this is really good feedback. This is, I think, really good stuff, especially from the coaching aspect, and then tips for some new guys. But I mean, is there anything else you guys want to kind of add here?
Yeah, I think really what was important for me, becoming an MT and then to the supervisor, is realizing that the way you carry yourself is a lot different because you're exhibiting the way a supervisor should be. So when you're a rep, you get to talk to other reps as a rep, but as a supervisor, you should be leading by example. So the way you act every day is not the same. So you have to, just be more mindful that those around you will be listening to you and looking at you, and and just try to exhibit some positives. I think that really helps.
They hear everything.
They do.
Right? I mean, there it is.
everything.
They do.
I mean, and we guys, every single one of us here was on the phones. Like you kind of get it, and there's times when you're just like, all right, I'm on the phone and I just want to listen and hear something else. And so you're. But I think the thing is important too is from a supervisor standpoint, it's even how you guys treat each other, right? Because the reps will see if you think Carl's not a good supervisor, right, and you kind of talk down to him, right? There's a respect level then that kind of gets lost throughout the whole core. So I think that's something that's kind of important too. It's not just how you, to your point, how you act with your team, but then how you're even acting with your peers.
Exactly.
I always tell the supervisor to be the supervisor they would want to have. And not just, the fun supervisor, but someone that they can respect.
Yep.
Right.
And because that respect has to go with the job, because if you lose the rep's respect, then they're going to walk all over you. So you have to put your best foot forward and lead by example.
Be nice, but be stern.
Exactly. Exactly.
And consistent.
Exactly.
That's the most important thing, I think, is consistency.
Follow through with everything you say you're going to, even the raving fan drawing. If I were to just have started that and did it 1 month and then blew it off after that, then they probably wouldn't be so serious about the next thing I tried to do.
Right.
So I think that, having something that you do with them consistently makes it more important to them. And the board, when I first started the board and putting the reps with the raving fans, there was like 2 people, 3 people. But after they saw I was doing it every single day, it went up.
Right.
It's like
They all
5,
want it on
6,
the board.
7. Like they want to see their names on the board.
Right. No, and I think that's a really good point. Like, if if you're constantly doing the positive stuff happens. If you're constantly doing the negative stuff, that's kind of what kind of gets brought out too. So
Absolutely.
I joked with my team. I told them that they all had to embrace my corniness. So slowly, I've slowly noticed that, you know, some of the people that maybe were a little bit more argumentative or
Straight-laced.
yeah, are kind of just a little bit. They're like, oh, okay, well, yeah, I can trust her. I can listen to her. I can ask her, and they're not so. Well, she doesn't know what she's talking about, or they just feel more comfortable with you if you keep that communication open, basically, and
build the trust with your reps.
Yeah, and keep yourself consistent. Like I said, make sure you're doing the same thing.
Well, the cool thing is you guys have all come from there, right? It's that like nobody here was really hired off the street, right?
Yeah.
Everybody kind of came through. Everybody was on the phones.
Yes.
So you kind of do have that street cred a little bit, I guess, right? When it comes to that, because I mean, you were a killer outbound rep,
Right.
so those guys can't say boo.
They can, but it doesn't do them any good, right?
Yeah, that's help when
I
they know
listen to you because you know what you're doing
Right.
on the phones.
Right, absolutely.
Like, you know what you're doing on the phones. That's why I listen to you when you tell me something.
All right, guys, that was awesome. So thank you guys very much. I think there's a ton of feedback here. I know I want to do more of these kind of things, and we can kind of bring in some other supervisors too, and kind of rotate. And now you guys can all go back and tell them that it's not really terrible.
It's not bad at all.
Nothing cheesy.
And I think I had suggested that maybe we incorporate some of the team leads in.
Yeah.
Well,
Well,
we have a lot
even
of
some of
great
the reps.
team
I
leads.
think
We have
can,
some
we can
team
do some of
leads.
that too.
Oh yeah, I can
For
think
some
of
of
some
the-
that would love to do it.
Some of the
Yeah.
specific questions. So.
Well, I was
I know.
thinking as a team lead, but yeah, I mean Tina Haley.
Yeah, those guys that have been here forever.
They've been here a long time, and since you know, they have a feel for stuff too.
Yep.
Awesome.
Awesome.
All right.
Thank